So today we're going to dive into something really interesting, the wisdom of the quiet kid. It's all about that person we've all met, but maybe we've never really understood them. The one who has this kind of strange and often really profound wisdom just hiding in their silence.
I mean, you know exactly who I'm talking about, right? In a meeting at work, at a party, back in the classroom, there's always one. The person who just listens way more than they speak. And you can't help but wonder, what is actually going on in their head? And see, this is where we usually get it wrong. This is the big misconception. We see that silence and we just project our own ideas onto it. We assume that just because they aren't talking, they aren't really there. But you know what? We are about to completely flip that idea on its head.
So, let's just start by tackling that misconception head on. Our source material has a great name for it. It calls it the myth of absence.
You know how it is? Our brains are wired to fill in the blanks, and fast. When we see someone being quiet, we jump to conclusions. We think, oh, they must be shy, or maybe worse, they're just not interested. We might figure they don't have any confidence, or maybe that there's simply nothing going on upstairs, just emptiness. These are the default labels we slap on.
But here it is. This is the question that unlocks a completely different way of seeing things. What if that silence isn't empty? What if it's not a void at all, but something else entirely? And this brings us to a really powerful new idea. Instead of seeing silence as a lack of something, let's try looking at it as a form of cultivation.
And this, right here, lays out the shift in thinking perfectly. See, the old views saw silence as absence, empty, passive, just a void that needs to be filled. But this new perspective sees it as cultivation. It's full, it's active, it's a space that's been intentionally created. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
In fact, the source uses this exact phrase, careful cultivation. I just love that. It makes you think of this silence not as a desert, but as a garden. It's a space where something important is being grown and tended to with real care.
So, okay, if this silence is being cultivated, what's growing in that garden? Well, it turns out it's a kind of superpower.
Now this is a fantastic metaphor. Think about it. A reservoir isn't an empty space, right? It's this vast, deep store of a vital resource, something that's been collected over a long time. Well, quiet individuals do the exact same thing, but with observations. While everyone else is busy talking, they are collecting data.
And what kind of data are they collecting? That's the good stuff. It's the stuff that flies right by most of us. They're seeing the patterns and how people interact. They're the ones who catch those tiny split-second facial expressions that give away a moment of hurt. They get the subtle shifts in power and alliances within a group. And maybe most importantly, they hear what isn't being said out loud.
I think this analogy just nails it. It's like the rest of us are watching the world on a grainy, standard def TV. We're just kind of getting the basic plot. But the quiet observer? No. They're watching in 4K high definition. They see every single pixel, every detail, every subtle shade of meaning.
And all of this builds to the absolute core idea from our source material. It's something it calls a moral subtlety. And this is where it gets really deep.
Okay, so here's the crucial point. Moral subtlety isn't just about being quiet. It's about the purpose of that quiet. It's the conscious choice to listen with the goal of genuinely understanding where someone else is coming from, not just waiting for a gap in the conversation so you can jump in with your own point.
And here's the full quote from the source. It specifically highlights this quality, and it suggests there's a real ethical, a moral weight to this kind of deep listening. It's such a subtle act, but it's a profoundly respectful one.
So let's really break this down into the two opposing ways we can listen. On one side, you have listening to reply. We've all been there, right? Our mind is just racing, we're forming a counter-argument, we're just waiting for them to take a breath so we can talk. But on the other side, there's listening to understand. And here, our mind is quiet, it's absorbing everything, the words, the tone, the body language, all with the single goal of trying to see the world through someone else's eyes.
So what do we do with all of this? Let's wrap things up with a big takeaway and what this really means for all of us, whether we're quiet or, a little more on the loud side.
If you remember one thing, let it be this. That silence we so often misunderstand or rush to fill isn't empty. It's a vital space. It's the space where real observation, where empathy, and where true understanding can finally grow.
And here are a few practical things you can try. First, the next time you're around a quiet person, just actively reframe your assumptions. Try not to see absence. Look for that cultivation. Second, in your own life, start to really value deep listening, both from other people and in yourself. And finally, actively create space for those quiet voices to be heard. Ask them what they think, and then wait, and really truly listen to the answer.
And I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Our world, our society, it so often rewards the loudest voice in the room, right? The person who speaks first, loudest, and most often. But in doing so, what crucial wisdom, what subtle truths, and what quiet voices have we accidentally trained ourselves to ignore? What have we forgotten how to hear?